Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Haggerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. All right, are we live? It doesn't show us live on the YouTube machine yet, but hey, we're doing it anyway. How are you guys? Welcome to the first episode of Bid Nerds for 2024. My name is John Polnik. I am your host here in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, along with my partner, Michael Deeb, who has not logged in yet. And then we've got Wade over here. So I'm gonna do some. Go to Wade for a second here, but
hello world. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the stream.
We're live on my app.
Yes, but it didn't connect to the prompt.
I wonder what the 6 people who are watching right now see. What do you see?
Well, that's the thing. It's a separate thing.
Oh man, it was unprecedented. If anybody's watching,
yeah,
we were on time. We clicked the button. First show, looking good, and now something.
But I've got a whole bunch of commenters in here.
Yeah.
We got the herd.
I know, but I'm not quite sure. Stand by, guys. We're live. Go ahead and talk about something, Wade. But
Andy's telling, and I quote, that he can hear hip young Santa Claus just fine.
We're live, guys. We're not live on the prompt that we set up.
All right.
Wade, fill some time, Wade.
Well, while they go and click some buttons back there, I just wanted to say Happy New Year to all the folks out there in the world. I hope you had a nice New Year's. New Year's in Las Vegas is always a fun time, and I was here. Oh, I heard a ding dong. Our other host is joining us as well. But while we get all connected, I had a nice New Year's down here in Las Vegas. It's always a party. They have one heck of a fireworks show, and I'm close enough to see it from my balcony. I'm almost close enough to touch it. So it was a nice fireworks show, a nice New Year's with some friends and family. And at about 12:01 a.m., I was off to sleep. But I hope everyone out there had a good New Year's as well while we click some buttons. And we're just going to hold here for a moment.
How many people are watching right now?
Ooh.
Five watching.
Five. Ooh, I hear voices from above. Michael Deeb has joined us.
We are equipped with a Deeb.
We are.
Yeah, thanks for waiting for me.
Well, we need to be equipped with the equipment now. That's the last piece of the puzzle.
No, and we were talking about this on New Year's Eve there, Deeb. We'll wait on you to do all the cool car stuff, but the nerd herd, their time is valuable.
That's true, and I give JP a lot of credit. He set like a reminder, everyone's subscription box for the last 3 or 4 hours. So people were like finger on the button waiting for this show, which we appreciate. And if for some reason you just happen to stumble upon this stream, or you're not subscribed, or you don't have your notifications on, hit the subscribe button down below, ding the bell for the notifications, and whether or not we're ever on time again, you will be notified to join the herd and hang out with us.
Keep talking, Wade.
Oh, man.
Well, we could ask Deeb how his...
I was going to say, Michael Deeb, how's it going over there? How was
your New Year's?
Yeah, how was it?
Listen, we got a 20-month-old baby. Our New Year's was a wee bit anticlimactic. We had big plans and no babysitters, so we stayed home and laid low. And now that we live in suburbia, there's no fireworks, there's no noise, the dogs don't bark, the house is quiet. It's like a sad story.
You wouldn't even have known that it was New Year's, would you?
No, not at all.
I have a logistics question for you over there. Is your new studio fully set up now that you've moved and everything? Are all the parts and pieces where they need to be?
No.
Oh, good. Well,
no.
From what we can see, it all looks good.
Yeah, there's some decorations behind me, but it's a work in progress. I'm still doing this off my iPhone. And over a year ago, my wife bought me a Canon, I think it's called an M505.
A nice one.
So
M50.
M50. There you go. And and I got JP told me to get the I forget what it is, but like the 200 millimeter or something lens.
20 millimeter.
So I have that.
You just put a zero on everything. It's like
that's the secret to all of his bids. That's how he gets it right.
Yeah, it's a round up, man. Come on, get with the program. But
so someday soon we will see you in high definition.
Yeah, or what JP would say is like a warmer shot.
Some bokeh.
Just to give you some troubleshooting feedback, JP, it did not connect to the people that were in the waiting room, but everyone that was liked did get a notification that we had started.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, somehow, sorry about that, guys. We're having a little bit of technical issues. Technically, we went live on time, but we had set up a premiere for the show with you. Who cares? Whatever. We're going to get going here. I'm going to do some technical stuff behind the scenes here to kind of make because right now, anyone that's going to the page is going to be confused because there's two videos that have the same thumbnail right now.
I see.
So I need to get rid of the one that's not going to happen. So Michael Deeb, why don't you start talking about cars and stuff?
Okay.
Because that's what we do on the show. We'll tell people about God and Porsche and God and Classic of Las Vegas.
Bid Nerds is brought to you by God and Porsche of Las Vegas. God and Porsche of Las Vegas was the very first Porsche Classic partner in North America way back in 2016. John and I met while working with God and Porsche, playing with classic cars. John was making cool marketing videos, and I was working in the dealership in the sales department, buying and selling classic cars. That's how we met. That's how we got our start. But God and Porsche was vetted by the folks in Porsche in Germany, not Porsche Cars North America, but Porsche Cars of Germany, AG. They were the ones that selected God and Porsche out of 190 Porsche stores to be the very first Porsche Classic partner in the United States and, in fact, in North America, because they have the parts, the personnel, the expertise, the capital, the brand new Gen 4 store, and all the things necessary to roll it out better than anybody else, and they continue to do so. So if you have a Classic partner and you're looking for service and you're in Southern Nevada or somewhere in Arizona or Southern California, or you're looking for parts for your classic car, which they can ship to you anywhere across the United States and probably Canada and Mexico, or if you're looking to buy or sell a classic Porsche, call our friends at God and Porsche and tell them that the Bid Nerds sent you.
All right. Mental, why don't you tell everyone about our Smiths?
Oh, crap. So he's going to put me on the spot there. Folks, Our Smith, if you've got a classic timepiece, of course, my other hosts, they always have Omegas and Rolexes and Patek Philips and all this sort of kind of stuff, but all the way down to your lowly Tag Heuer. And we have just discovered he can also rebuild the instrumentation in your classic Porsche. You need to check out Our Smiths. We're going to have a visual commercial for them right now, but no one else is going to give you the care. We're not? Okay, never mind.
Just talk about them. Sorry. We'll get to the commercial
We're
later.
We're going to get to the commercials later. Point being, no one else is going to treat your treasured timepiece or instrumentation with the same care that you are going to get out of our friends over at Our Smith, which is actually how they became a sponsor of the show. It wasn't they sent us a huge check and said, sell out your values. No, we've seen the work that they've done, and it's great stuff.
Good stuff. All right, let's get to the show. I think we have all of the prompts correctly. Yeah, okay, so the show's on. Thanks for bearing with us on some technical stuff, and do visit our friends Our Smiths in Idaho and down here in Las Vegas. God and Classic, they rock. All right. It is 2024. We are now ready to begin. This is the Price is Right of, enthusiast cars, right? That's what we do. We made some predictions at the end of the year. It was like a year ago,
though.
Oh, he did it. He did the joke. He did it. Yeah, we made predictions on not the last episode. Mental and I were here doing the top three. I guess Michael Deeb was here too, right? We did
Absolutely.
the top three bottom. And,
I was.
Yeah, the top three and the bottom three cars of 2024. That episode is still up on the site, so go check that out and see if our list matches yours. And but before that episode, today's what, Wednesday? So I guess it was a week ago today. We made some predictions before the end of the year. What were those predictions? Michael Deeb, let's get to the first car.
All right, Switcher Jesus, will you please pull up the 2007 Porsche 911 GT3 on PCAR Market? This was a 997 GT3 that PCAR Market found, showing only 4,602 miles on the odometer out of West Hampton, New York. This is being sold by a dealer and looked to be in very nice condition, although they got a little bit of hazing in the comments for not doing a better job detailing the car. And I certainly picked on them for pulling to the side of the road and photographing it on a lawn as if they had just broken down. Terrible images and marketing for a car that is, probably nicer than 98% of the 997 GT3s that are out there in existence. If you have a car this nice, the car deserves to be brought to market correctly. Bringing it to a dealer does not necessarily guarantee that your car will be brought to market correctly. And this dealer proves that that is correct, because these are terrible images. The car was not detailed properly. And as such, I think the car suffered a little bit. So without further ado, we all liked the car, but I don't know that any of us believed that this particular one would find a retail number at Hammer on this platform, especially at the time of the year that it was being brought to market between Christmas and New Year's. With that in mind, I said $145,000. JP came in $20,000 over me, going with $165,997. Wade parked his bid just over JP's at $169,500, and then Mental was brutal and ever bearish, saying at $125,000. I think the car was at like $119 when we were covering it, if my memory serves me correct. But Mental said $125, issuing that this car was dead on arrival and wouldn't go any further. So with all that in mind, there's a couple things to unpack here. As is always the case when we look at cars that are on.
We are losing
we're losing your audio.
Like you've got a disconnected microphone.
I know. I think
Or maybe his battery's dying or something like that. The technical stuff. A great way to start 2024.
We are on brand. I love it.
Oh my
All
gosh.
right.
That was just
Can
a
you
perfect
mute
fade
him?
out,
Because
yeah.
it's like coming, his popping, and just mute him for a while there,
I think
Mental.
somebody's chewing on the wire.
Yeah, that was
Deeb, I don't think your
get
kid
up or
brings us
something
sleep.
like that.
Yeah. There we go.
So we're gonna wait. Okay, so now you guys have to wait a little bit to find out how much his car sold for, or should I go ahead and do the reveal while he's?
He did have some things to unpack.
He
So
wanted
if he's
to
got the
unpack
notes.
some stuff. So
Yeah,
I
he
guess
did.
we'll just
Well,
unpack.
let's talk about what the nerd heard there. You can read those bids. So Randy B's back with us. Thank you for joining us in 24, and he's got what the herd put up there.
A really wide spread, 120s all the way up to 160s, 170s. And I think that reflects the fact that this car is really special, but they did an especially poor job representing it. I have to say, last show, I didn't immediately recognize the fact that they literally took pictures of this car on the side of the highway, which is just bizarre to me. And from a seemingly selling dealer, like you didn't have a lot. You didn't have the back of the warehouse to use.
It's like down the street from the PCAR Market office. It's like, there's a spot on the side of the road
Like,
by the Dunkin'
what?
Donuts, man. Go take a picture there.
So bizarre.
It's just
so
these
bizarre.
guys have no sense of quality. At PCAR Market, they have they'll call. The thing is, the worst part about it is, Mental Deeb is trying to get back in here. They'll tell you, if you call them and you talk to them, they'll give you a long speech about how important a good quality photo is, but they have no clue how to actually do it. That's the funny part. Did you hang up on Deeb?
No, he hung up on himself.
I see. Okay, so we got Michael Deeb coming back. I don't know if they can they hear that jingles there?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Michael Deeb's back in the show. Can we hear you?
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing.
Did you
1,
go
2.
have dinner?
I was nervous there.
Yeah.
You're like, did you just fake like an audio problem so you could get a quick bite in?
My toast popped. I had to run. Yeah, no, my battery died on my mic. So without further ado,
I'm gonna have a drink.
This
This episode definitely calls for a drink. Yeah, your audio's working.
All right. A lot to unpack here, as is always the case with PCAR Market. I've got two numbers for you. Shocking. Our car hammered at $142,250, where it failed to sell and then wound up in the chum bucket for $187,000, where, and I checked this before the show, it still resides. So I was the bid that was closest to that. And again, predicting what's going to happen on PCAR Market is always an exercise in futility, because sometimes, occasionally, they knock it out of the park, but oftentimes they fail. And their caveat is that if your car fails to meet its reserve at Hammer, we're going to represent it for you and put it on our classifieds for a couple of weeks. And that's contractually built into most of their contracts. I think you could opt out of it, but most people go to PCAR Market, agree to do it to some degree. But I think it's fool's gold. You might think you get to protect your asset by raising, you don't have to argue on what you want the reserve to be, at least not at the moment that you're signing the agreement over to PCAR Market. But I think this car is burnt, and that's a huge error. You've got one of the nicest 997 GT3s. Metzger engine cars are really hot in the secondary market, and now you burnt your car because the PCAR Market audience says that they believe this car is worth $142,000, and you're looking for $190,000. You guys are $45,000 to $50,000 apart, and I think that's going to be hard to carry over to wherever you decide to sell this car next. Now, if you're going to leave it with that dealer you have it with, he may try another avenue or another platform, but I think that car is going to sit for a long time before somebody comes around. And I don't know that the market's getting any better. So this was, by all accounts, a big failure. And I get to be the one, because I won this one, I get the one to say, I told you so.
I mean, that was a good bid. You were very close there. I don't think this car is necessarily burnt if the dealer, the seller, whoever the person who actually owns this car, learns from this mistake. If they went out, if the owner of this car goes out and hires a real photographer and picks a place other than the side of the road, I mean, you could find about a million different places that would have been better to take photos of this car. Just go out and take a new batch of media and put this car on BAT, and I don't think anyone even notices it's the same car. If this car suddenly showed up, if say Avant-Garde got a hold of this car, right, 911R on BAT, if they got a hold of this car, they would make all kinds of amazing media, and then they would make a great ad for it, and they would put the video up, and it would be on BAT, and everyone would look at that ad, and anyone that pops up in the comments and says, "Oh, this is a car that failed to sell on PCAR Market for $140,000, right? You could just go, well, yeah, but look at the way it was represented. Of course it didn't make it. PCAR Market, once again, kind of sucks. And it was horribly represented. This car does have a chance. It can have a future, but only if the owner learns from what he screwed up. What do you think, Wade?
This car does have a chance, but I think for the next 6 months, it is rotting. I think it is a rotten, stinky fish in the chum bucket. And if I were the owner or the dealer, they need to just make this disappear for the next 6 months.
You're telling me if this thing was repackaged and looked beautiful the way like someone like 911R does, that people would be like, no, I don't want that?
I think so for two reasons. Okay. One, the market sort of kind of spoke on this car. The PCAR market of people spoke. Mm-hmm. For the car itself, maybe the representation. And there were some questions on the condition interior-wise that maybe not were answered properly. So there's the market speaking. Then there is the dealer owner who wanted $190,000, which wasn't even in the realm of the highest of bids by the bid nerd community. I think they were $10,000 or $20,000 higher than is reasonable. Yeah. Now, maybe they're giving themselves a buffer to meet in the middle at 165 or something to actually sell it. But there's just too many things wrong with this car as it sits right now, still online, to quickly turn it around and recover. I think just make it disappear until like April and then present it as a brand new car that has never been online before.
People forget about it. Yeah. What do you think, Mental?
I agree. And it was just, and that was the crux of our debate was, knowing what it was versus how it was represented. And we with some of the interior stuff on this one, I don't think it was serious, but people were making jokes about, maybe this wasn't the actual mileage kind of a deal on this one. And these were
the check jacket
scuffs that he
used
was
car
talking
salesman
about.
out there pulling the odometer out and rolling it back. Can't do it with a digital odometer.
You can't do it. It's just there's some hinky stuff that makes people that really quest for these cars, especially from a collector standpoint, a little nervous.
Is the Nerd Herd awesome or what? These guys, look at this. Randy B is averaging. He's got a calculator. He's got a Casio. He's probably got a Casio watch, right? That he's just like got the beep, 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 beep. He's got the average. The herd average was 150,444 on their bids, and the Nerd Herd is what makes this show. It's not any of us yahoos on the screen. Let me just tell you. Thanks again, you guys. We do love having you join the conversation. Chris Pernelli's, I'm coming in hot. Hell yeah, I'm annoyed already by sellers. You're so right, but I mean, come on, it's 2024. I got to step up.
Yeah.
The coming in hot.
Hopefully this sets the precedent for future auctions. If you learn anything from this show as a seller, take good pictures, represent the car, answer questions. I mean, come on.
The takeaway there is, can you learn anything from this show? Good Lord.
Yeah, my partner's been saying that for 3 years, and it's never been disproved. If you do the job correctly, you give yourself the best chance at success. And I think this consignor was thinking that when he brought it to a dealer, thinking he was trusting a professional. But this dealer has proven with this lump of coal that
that's 3 strikes, right? I mean,
yeah,
poor photos. They chose PCAR Market as their platform, and it didn't sell. Yeah, and they didn't detail the car. That's 4 strikes, man.
Yeah.
They were out a long time ago. All right, guys, what do you think of the results of this GT3 that was poorly represented on PCAR Market? Do you think this car is burnt? Can someone come back and save the day and have be a hero in just a few weeks by maybe taking some pictures? Or is this car burnt till April like Wade seems to think? Let us know in the comments below. And let's move on to the other cars that we made predictions last year. What do we got, Michael Deeb?
All right, Switcher Jesus, if you will jump us over to cars and bids, we were looking at a 2006 Porsche 911 Carrera Cabriolet. This car has 45,700 miles. It's a 997.1. It's 2-wheel drive, and of course, it is a manual. Super cool car for a base Carrera. Fair miles, but this car had some challenges. We oftentimes say that there's no good Volkswagens in the marketplace because people that own them really can't afford to keep them up. Most of the young guys that have a Volkswagen want to just spend money on modifications rather than regular maintenance, or, just upkeeping the image of the car. This car has been treated as such. It looks like a child owned it, with the blue shift knob and the oversized wheels and the GT3 front clip and the GT3 rear clip. This car was not looked after by somebody we would refer to as mature. As such, we didn't feel very much for this car at all. And I think our bids kind of reflected that. So I came in at $34,000. JP parked his bid right underneath me at $33,997. Wade was a bit more optimistic on this car, coming in at $41,000. And Mental, the pendulum swings way the other direction, was at $31,997. So without further ado, our car is running on PCAR Market, and it hammered at $34,750, where it failed to sell on 27 bids. John, here's the thing I'm going to say about this. I think the guy should have taken that money. I don't know. Again, just judging by the appearance of the car, I don't think we're dealing with somebody that has a grip on reality. But at $35,000, I mean, what more do you think this car is worth? I mean, are you holding out for 40 grand? And why on earth did Cars and Bids agree to give him a reserve that was over $35,000? Because that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, did they park the reserve? Are the kids at Cars and Bids just booking cars and not actually looking at the product? Because you and I were spot on, and I don't even think Mental was out of the realm at 31. I think Wade, again, was being optimistic. But it'll cost you $5,000 or more to think about it this way. If the original parts aren't included, you can't un-F this car, right? You're not going to go source Porsche wheels and put new tires on to downsize them. You're not going to get a front and rear clip, have them mounted and painted, and then the shift knob and whatever else was changed on this car. So like this car is ruined. And then he said no to 35 grand. I think that's a huge mistake, JP. What do you think?
I agree with you that the seller was a moron not to accept that number, and you got to wonder what Doug DeMuro was thinking. Was he out just driving his GT Carrera and just not paying attention? You know what's going on in his company. He's just having a good old Christmas break and just let the elves run Santa's castle. I don't necessarily think that this car is so effed that it couldn't be. Like, if I owned this car, those wheels, as god awful as they are worth something. You could throw those on, I don't know, Facebook Marketplace or whatever and get $1,000, $1,500 for them. They'd probably fit on a 991, actually better than the 997. Whatever. I'm not saying that they're good wheels, but they're too big for the car. You could easily source a set of just regular 997 wheels for $1,000, $1,500. So I think the wheels alone would change everything. The nose and the rear bumper are definitely a problem, but it's not as it's just extra glaring when you have these wagon wheels on the side of that car. The gear shift knob, I mean, come on, a gear shift knob is a couple of $100. Those couple, just
not that one. That one was like $7 at AutoZone.
Yeah,
yes.
that's definitely something you got on or on Amazon or whatever. But I'm saying replacing it, getting the right one, even if if you just ordered the same exact $7 gear shift lever and is that a piece of electrical tape at the bottom? I don't think I noticed that before. If you just got a black one, it would look a gajillion times better. There's just, so again, you could replace the gear shift knob for next to nothing. And what you have at that point is then a car with the wrong bumpers, but they're still factory bumpers. And it's a 34,000 mile 997. That's pretty cool. That is something to be said, to have a car that's kind of ready to go for a while. I mean, update the IMS or, roll the dice. And these are great cars. And $34,000 for a totally goofy looking convertible in the middle or at the beginning of winter, not even the middle of winter, but the beginning of winter. I mean, half the states in the country aren't going to see sunshine for months. And this guy turned down 35 grand for a base convertible. There's some, I think I've been doing my job. I've been busting the balls of cabriophobes, and I think people are finally starting to go, yeah, cabrios are kind of cool. So I am personally bringing the value of cabrios up. What do you think, Wade?
To answer your question, I think
I had a question.
You did at the beginning. The question was,
forgot.
What did Doug DeMuro and maybe the Cars and Bids team see in this car to warrant a $35,000 or $40,000? That was the very beginning. An hour ago.
I can't remember what that was. That was last
notes.
year.
I have to respond.
Somebody's paying attention.
Wade's going a long way around the mountain.
I have to because my answer to that question aligns with my moonshot of a bid.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'll say, I genuinely think they thought that a couple of kids would look at this car and think, oh, wow, a Porsche for 40 grand, no matter what it is, no matter what bumpers strapped to it and what wheels got put on. And whoever did that shift knob, I would imagine that wasn't a choice. Something had to have broken in the car, and maybe they just replaced it.
No, man, did you see the wheels and the bumpers? Of course that's a choice.
Put electrical tape and just put it. I think they just... Anyway, I really do think that they thought this car would go to a couple of kids who just didn't know what they were looking at. And I think the owner of this car probably has like 40 or 45 grand into it too, and was like, I really can't, I don't know if they put all that stuff in it, but if they did or didn't, they still probably have 40 or 45 grand in this car for themselves. And they couldn't walk away. But I really do think that to somebody who knows nothing about Porsches and nothing about, anything in particular about these sorts of cars, they were probably hoping that somebody thought, oh, wow, this kind of looks like a Turbo S with those wheels from a distance, or kind of is interesting with the bumpers and is still a manual Porsche, and they see like $120,000 manual Porsche and they're like, oh, this one's 40 or 45. Let me jump on that. But for 30 or 35,
the vape smoking one cow onesie.
I know they don't have that.
guy
They don't have the
doesn't
money.
have 40 grand, but
That's true. But I think
and doesn't know how to drive a stick either.
6 or 8 months ago, that might have been the case. That might have been a $40,000 or $45,000 car. It could have been the time of year, but weirdly enough, I do think those buyers are out there somewhere. Just not today.
If this car did get sold, you would see it like in a week or two in one of those like intersection takeover videos where the people are doing burnouts.
It'd be an
and
LA
hitting their buddies with
takeover.
the,
And there'd be 6 people riding on the, in the back.
Mental, tell me you love this car.
I feel like everything on this car was going well along the lines of what Wade was talking about. It was a reasonably priced car. It was being marketed to a group of people that would be like, oh, I could get into a Porsche for this amount. And if you look at how close the nerd herd along with our bids were on this one, I think it just failed on somebody saw one of these sell one time on auction for $200,000 and they're mad that theirs isn't going for that much. They absolutely should have sold it for this car. Someone could have gotten a fun car for that kind of price and they would have been rid of it. But no. I know it's worth this amount of money. I knows what I got. It's no low ballers. So I feel like that this is the massive failure of their seller, and he was aided by the platform who should have said, dude, no.
Do your job, Doug. Is Zach watching? Zach Miller from Cars and Bids. He
have not seen him
hangs
commenting
out quite
yet,
often.
so,
Maybe
yeah.
he's given up on us. What do you guys think of the results of this bastardized 997? Did the seller kind of blow their 2024 by being stuck with this car and not accepting a $34,000 and change high bid, or are they just going to ride into spring and sell it for 40 or 45 on a different platform? Let us know in the comments below. One of the comments tonight in the chat, I don't know who said it. It was a little higher up here, but some people have noticed how luxurious my beard is.
It looks beautiful.
It does, doesn't it? It looks
does.
very good. Very good. But they specifically noted that it is almost equal in grandeur as your plume that you have going on up
Thank
there.
you. Yeah, we're getting there. Soon we'll merge and it'll just
Well,
be...
I think I just have to turn my head upside down.
That's
and then,
true.
Yeah. I think if this were up here, it would be a much better, I would have kind of like a Sean Connery kind of thing. Yeah, did you see that?
I'd like to formally launch a protest that now's when we start talking about luxurious hair. Mm-hmm. That's just not right.
If only
man.
we knew
Just
somebody
not
who
right.
had luxurious
Yeah,
hair.
we
We should invite them to the show or something.
So I don't have any hair because of my bad hair choices, my hair karma. Look, I had a perm in the 80s because I wanted to be like Mel Gibson, who rocked it in Lethal Weapon. And then in the 90s, I had the frosted tips and all that stuff. And the hair gods were like, no more. They said, you're out.
You lost your privilege.
I lost my privileges. Exactly. I abused it. And Switcher Gary over here used to be Switcher Jesus and he cut it off. It's
donated
like,
it.
what the hell
Donated
kinda...
it. There's a difference. I donated it. Right now, there's some 8-year-old kid who got his new cancer wig, and he just has this urge to drive ragtop cars and go really fast in the hallways. Yeah, it keeps getting in trouble. It's great.
That's good.
That's my belief.
Cancer kids with your hair. All right. Yeah, I don't know which thing is worse for them. It's like you have to kind of. I do not use conditioner, although maybe I should.
You should be conditioning that beard,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, condition that beard, especially here.
I thought for sure my wife would get like for Christmas. I thought for sure I was going to get all these like
a subscription to Harry's. Just
all the like trimming stuff and but clearly she doesn't want me to keep it, so I got none of that. But I have been going down to the place down the street here on Fremont Street and partaking in the trims and stuff like that because they do a better job at it than I do. Anyways, enough about my beard. What else did we make a prediction on last episode there, Michael Deeb?
All right. We also took a look at, if you would put it up, Switcher Jesus, a 1991 Lamborghini LM002, the military vehicle, a vehicle that Lamborghini made and was trying to contract to the United States military. And as you read deeper and deeper how close they actually came, would that have been cool? But this car did not do that. And ultimately, Lamborghini only built 300 of these between 1986 and 1993. They are powered by the 5.2-liter 4-cam V12 that you would find in the similar vintage Countach. They have a dogleg 5-speed gearbox and all-wheel drive. But again, this is not some poser vehicle. By the engineers that looked at it, the people of the U.S. military, the people that are really familiar with this car, has described this car as being built closer in specification to a trophy truck than your uncle's Suburban. So super cool car. Our car was in Los Altos, which is here in the Bay Area, just above Silicon Valley, showing 24,000 kilometers, which equates to about 15,000 miles. And the car is running. There's a great little video that Jesus is putting up right now. With all that in mind,
Gary, he's not Jesus anymore. He cut it off.
Whatever. I started the bidding at $350,000. JP came in going for a record number for the car at $500,000, which would be, in line with the highest of markets and the best of examples. This car looked to be a bit more of a driver quality version. Wade came in underneath me at $325,000, and Mental split the difference between my bid and JP's, coming in at $425,000. Our car actually did pretty good, John. It hammered at $325,000. If that sounds familiar, that's because that's exactly what Wade guessed. Call it a Yahtzee, where the car sold on 34 bids. This car got some action, and Wade, you nailed it. Congratulations, brother. Way to start off the year with a
That's
Yahtzee.
a Christmas freaking miracle.
It
right
is,
there,
and it's all downhill from here.
starting the year off right.
Yeah.
Damn, I think the only bigger miracle would have been like if the U.S. government would have chosen this over the Humvee. I think the U.S. would have lost the first Gulf War. I mean, I think the Republican Guard actually would have beat us. They'd have been like, they're driving old Italian cars in the desert. They're not going anywhere.
But for the
scud like crazy, they're done.
For the 25 miles that these work, though, they would have had a hell of a time.
But I'm gonna play the game on you because you owned an old Italian car, and I feel like that
I
would
would go to war in it.
No, but it would have made everyone who drove them so grizzled and angry. Like when the enemy troops came, I have been wrenching on this car for 3 weeks. I will kill you with my hands.
It's like Nazis taking meth. They'd be so pissed off. They would kill everyone. See, we brought it back to Nazi jokes.
3 days.
I didn't say the Holocaust. I just said
3
Nazis.
days.
I was.
3 days.
Are you okay? So headline: Michael Deeb disagrees with making fun of Nazis. He's a Nazi sympathizer is the takeaway here. That's how you properly frame an argument. Wade, what do you think of the results of this silly thing?
Look, I think it got a lot of money. The previous Bring a Trailer listing for a similar one was in the 200s or 250s, and it's been a while since we've seen one of these for sale because they are so rare. Now, last show, I incorrectly stated that nobody back then had this as a poster in their wall, unlike a Countach or Diablo, which brings $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000, which we've seen crazy popularity. But one person in the room did have a poster of this above their bedroom, and it was Mental. So I'm curious, what do you think about this number, and is it finally getting the appreciation that you had for it, and everyone else is finally recognizing it?
I don't think the appreciation for this vehicle ever went away. I just think it's a very narrow market, but there's no beater ones of these. There's none of these that are showing up on, Craigslist or anything like that. The people that have them, they spend the $80,000 it takes to run one every year, and they don't care. And it's very rarefied air to own one of these, but I think everyone that has one loves them, and they probably all just trade them among themselves. So yes, I think now they're finally getting the public recognition that they deserve, and it's just there is nothing else like it in the world. The Urus wishes it could be this cool.
Oh yeah, I mean not even close. Yeah, I mean this is the perfect car to if you have like a house on the beach at Carmel by the Sea. If you're in one of those just amazing places where you just kind of stay in you drive down the coffee shop on the corner, and then you go over to the Rolex store and buy another Daytona, and then go golfing at Pebble Beach, and then whatever, and then get on the private jet to go to Gstaad or something. I mean it's just you have to be a gajillionaire to own something like this, which is odd for the Lambo. Love it I thought it would bring more money. Congratulations on the Yahtzee to Wade. Nice going. What do you guys think of the results of this thing? Is that should it have brought a lot more money because it's such a rare old Lambo, or are there just too few people in the world that actually even know what it is to want it? Let us know in the comments below. The comments are always the greatest, and as the comments continue. In the nerd herd, in the chat over here, I'm liking what I'm seeing. But Matthew Weitzel from 914 Rubber is saying that my beard is a starter beard, and I was up here, and now I'm just I'm brought down a little bit. I was pretty proud.
I know, his beard is.
He
epic.
does have, he is next level, expert level beard action going on there. Was there another car that we made a prediction on the last show?
One last car, JP. We picked a 1983 Volkswagen GTI just for you.
Oh,
this is
yeah,
a Mark
we
1,
did.
Mark 1 GTI. Super cool car on Bring a Trailer. This car is showing 67,000 original miles in Sylvania, Ohio. And looks to be in better than fair condition. I'd call this good condition. That original, crushed velvet corduroy interior still looks pretty damn good. It's got the golf ball shifter. It's not all modded out. And as such, we all wondered if this car would have, what we would coin collector value. And then I really thought it did. It's kind of the reason why I picked it. So with all that in mind, I said $20,000 and this car would find a home. JP came in over me, which, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching the show, you know that usually means I'm in trouble. John came in at $24,000. Wade, who gets excused for being less familiar with this car because the car is, in fact, a generation older than he is, came in at $17,500. And then fourth nerd, I should say, Mental, said $13,000. Our car hammered at just $9,525, where it's sold on just 8 bids. So, Mental, as you're the winner on this one, are you surprised that number is so far below your being the low bid of the whole group? And what's your knee-jerk reaction to only 8 bids on a really nice original 83 VW GTI?
I honestly, I'm kind of happy because that means if there's another one out there that is in similar or even worse shape, it's still attainable for people like me to get into this hobby. Well bought. I am genuinely surprised. This might have been one of the things that killed it, was this horrible headliner that they probably should have had done on there. And then I remember the herd was talking about the bumper was a little chewed up, and you might have been able to pull those off and throw a coat of Rust-Oleum on there and gotten away with a little bit more, and maybe clean off the undercarriage at a quarter car wash. They left a little money on the table, but it's a well-bought, fun car that someone's going to enjoy, and they might even hold on to it long enough to make a handful of dollars when they go to resell it in a few years.
Yeah, I think this is kind of seasonal too. I mean, this is a weird car not a lot of collectors are really looking for these I think the only way one of these really brings big money is if it's absolutely perfect. And we just haven't seen an absolutely perfect one because, let's face it, this isn't that great a car. They're fun to drive. Hell yeah. I mean, I'd love to drive one, but it's like a lot of people, I've heard people go, should I, like guys our age that have kids that are just getting into driver's age, and they're like, I want to find them a 3-pedal car that they can, grow up to be a real man or woman, that can actually, drive a stick like everyone used to be able to do. So it's like, should I get an old Volkswagen? Because old Volkswagen, you can still find GTIs, maybe not GTIs, but you can find Rabbits and stuff like that and old Scirocco's and stuff. Mark 1 Volkswagens for pretty cheap. You can find bitch buckets and stuff. And that's kind of the inclination, but really I tell most of them, as much as I love these cars, they're freaking dangerous. I don't have a kid, but if I did, I think I would like that person enough to not put them in something like this when they could get a Mark 3 or 4 or 5, Rabbit or GTI for less money. I mean, you could get a Mark 5 Rabbit, just a regular 2-liter Rabbit, a fairly modern car that wouldn't be as cool as this per se, but it would have airbags and crumple zones and stuff. This would be like putting a kid in an 850 Sport Spider like my parents did. What do you think, Mike?
And they're projecting. Oh, I want my kid to be the person that I wanted to be in high school. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Let your kid be your own kid.
That's the thing. I don't think any kid my age or younger would even know what this is or want to be seen in it, aside from the fact that it will crumple like a tin can.
And all these old dudes keep coming up and talking to me about it. It's just weird.
Yeah. No, it's sort of interesting. I wonder
Boomer magnet.
Well, I know everyone here except for me is really into a car like this. And I wonder if maybe your love of this car inflated it just a little bit between your numbers and the Nerd Herd as well, because the average from the comments was in the 15,000, which is almost twice as much as this car sold for.
Yeah.
And we kind of praise these $10,000 to $15,000 cars right now because there's a lot of value and new cars are very expensive and you can get an enthusiast car for a decent price if you know where to look. But I don't know if that checks like any of these boxes. It wasn't a collector. It was like kind of an enthusiast car if you know what it is, but it's not that fun or that great. So I almost wonder if like you 3 or 4 and the couple of people in the Nerd Herds were the ones who were going to fight it out. And everyone else in the world was like, have fun with your hunk of junk.
Yeah. I mean,
and as you said that, Buddha owned up to the reason why he always loved these cars, and that's up on the screen right now.
he was definitely, a little wacky weed definitely makes these more fun. No, I mean, they're tons of fun, but I think you're right, is that the people that can afford them are either nostalgia buys or they're young. And if they're young, they're going, well, I can get stuff that's better than this. And the car I just don't think it fits. You're right. I think it just doesn't fit that Z generation or younger's cool factor, even though it is an 80s car and 80s stuff is cool. I think a little bit newer 80s era stuff is more what they're looking for. I don't know. I do have to counter you though. This does seem kind of collectorish with 67,000 miles. I haven't seen one that low miles in 20 years.
We talked about how the owner explained all the anti-rust thing that they put underneath. Mm-hmm. Super clean car for it being in wherever it was, Ohio or somewhere in the Midwest.
I think in spring, I think you can come back in spring and sell this thing for 14 or 15 or something like that. I think that's a low result, and somebody got a bargain.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. If you consider it a collector car, then it was really, really well bought. And I do think they left money on the table. I think you could clean a few things up. You could redo that headliner, respray those bumpers, and take way better photos of the car. And gosh, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if you double your money on that car. If it's really documented 67,000 miles,
I think you're right.
And you emphasize that. When have we seen another one like that in the marketplace, JP? The only Mark 1 things that we see are cabriolets.
Right.
Johnny 5 is asking.
I was going to say real quick, 5-word response: CRX or this?
Which generation of CRX?
First gen CRX SI.
I got to take the GTI. The CRX is a better car, but the GTI is going to be more fun and more. I mean, for me, I'm a German car guy, but the second gen CRX SI, those things are
right. Wade, I know it's just a bunch of numbers to you, but pick one.
The first one.
Okay, there you go.
You know what a CRX
is?
is?
No, I do. I'm not a Volkswagen person, especially not this generation, so it wouldn't really be much of a choice for me.
Deeb, you're a driver.
Yeah, I'd probably do the GTI. And again, second generation with VTEC, man, what like JP was saying, those are really
second generation didn't have VTEC, but it was.
It didn't?
No.
But it did have
first gen
twin cam.
No, neither of them. They were just 16 valves.
You didn't get VTEC until the end of the 90s.
Yeah, and that wasn't in a CRX ever. That was like a Del Sol was the first small one. It was whatever. We're not going to get. Fun fact: I've owned more CRXs than I have first gen GTIs. Because I've never owned a first-gen GTI. I've owned a few CRXs over the years. What do you guys think of the results of this GTI? Was that a steal? Can the person that got this thing be able to come back and maybe flip it in the spring and make themselves some money? I'm surprised that the seller sold it for that low. I know it was that shocks me. I wouldn't let a car like that go for that low. I would definitely hang on to it and try to see if you could do better later in the year. But let us know what you guys think in the comments below. You guys always rock it with the comments. And it is time to go to a quick commercial, and we will be right back with new predictions, our first predictions for 2024 right after this. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds.
Get those nerds!
Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, Tony, is that my Submariner sitting there in that photo? I think in that commercial, I like that Submariner. He has a Submariner on the website.
That wasn't.
Was that?
That wasn't yours. That wasn't yours because that one was working.
Oh! Wait a minute. I have a broken Submariner. I'd be happy with a broken Submariner. That'd be fun. Because I have a place to get it fixed. I would just send it to Our Smiths. That would be fantastic to have one that was busted.
Send me your broken Submariners,
Yeah,
please.
man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Worth more than that little GTI before the break. All right, let's get to some predictions because that's what we do on this show is we predict what we think will happen with these auction prices. What do we got on the first car? What's the first car, Michael Deeb? I'm so excited. What's the first car in 2024?
Switcher Gary, let's keep the BMW and do the 2005 BMW 330 Ci with the ZHP package. I am probably the wrong person to introduce this car because while I am a BMW fan, I don't exactly know what it is other than to say it's got a little more power and a little better performance. It's the ZHP performance package. 6-speed manual coupe with 38,000 miles out of Newburgh, New York on Bring a Trailer. The car looks to be in exceptional condition. As we see ZHPs in coupe, sedan, and convertible come onto the auction sites, most of them have 160 to 200 and something thousand miles. To find one this clean with low mileage seemed like it might ring a few bells. 18-inch M double spoke wheels, Alcantara side bolsters and cloth interior, and Alcantara steering wheel. And again, this one is a manual. Rear wheel drive and 234 naturally aspirated horsepower with 222 pound-foot of torque. Looks to be a really nice car. And according to Carfax, this is a verified one-owner vehicle. So listen, if you're a fan of BMW, this has got to be one of the holy grails for the people that can't afford M cars. About as nice a car as you could have, and I would say a real wolf in sheep's clothing. So JP, I send it over to you. Any love for a clean, low mileage ZHP coupe with a manual?
These are awesome. I got to drive with, I think it was Brian from DWA back in the day when we were filming Porsche Road Trip. And we went on a bunch of those back roads that you know real well, Michael Deeb, in your neck of the woods. And man, these cars, I like the ZHP better than the M. I'm going to go ahead and say it right here. If I had my choice on an E46, either a ZHP or an M3, I would probably choose the ZHP. It's a subtle looking car. It doesn't scream at you that, hey, look at me, I'm special, I'm super fast, I've got whiz bang, fenders and stuff like that. It's just, man, these things perform and they look good, and they just, you can blend in to traffic and not attract as much attention as the M's do. I love this car, and to see one in two-door is extra rare, man. I mean, usually I don't know if I can't remember last time I saw a two-door one ever. I mean, they're all four doors. So, yeah, I love this car. I don't know if there's a better bang for the buck. And the question is this going to be a good bang for the buck anymore? Have they gotten into kind of rarefied air at this point to where it's going to bring so much extra money that now it's like, man, you can start looking at other cars. The ZHP is a car that used to be less than the M3, but I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. And with 36,000 miles, people want this car. I mean, the fact that it's at what, $15,000 with 3 or 4 days to go already, still.
4 days. Yeah.
I mean, look, it wasn't that long ago when this was a $15,000 car all day. I think Brian's had 200,000 miles on it. That's another thing about this car over the M3 is this is an absurdly reliable drivetrain. What do you think of this car, Wade?
Yeah, this is a really cool car and an interesting example of it. I mean, it's a gentleman's car, gentleman's spec, and this is a one owner, low mile car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really wonder who bought this and who kept it for this long. I mean, this, at a glance, these cars are the Craigslist specials of 185,000 miles, just slammed and mobbed and ruined. And they're still being sold by people who, to mimic Mental, know what they got, you know, and they're trying to sell it for all the money in the world.
And they have blue shift knobs.
Exactly. But I think this example is going to get all the money in the world. And I feel like there are people out there who want this for the driver's perspective, who want this for a collector's perspective. I wonder how much less it would go to versus a comparable M3, but I think that there are people who would much rather have a super nice example of this car versus a M3, but I guess we'll see. It's still already a lot of money with 3 days left, though.
Yeah. What do you think, Mental?
So I raced the Spec E46 in NASA, and one of the things on there, the ZHP is banned from Spec E46. It's that much more special than a regular E46, and this is probably the most amazing version I've ever seen. These are and
have you ever seen a two-door one before? I don't remember.
Actually, one of the guys on the team, but they all hang around La Jolla Independent BMW in San Diego, and Carl knows exactly how to get the cool BMWs, and they all are on the lookout for them. And what's great is they'll go and get them that are a little roughed up because they know mechanically what they are very special. But the vast majority of the ones I've seen, they have all been 4-doors, and these are absolutely wonderful cars. This is a one owner, and I'm going to, when we go to the bids, I'm going to be conservative because I just don't think that the BMW market, people that buy BMWs, has moved into the collector realm where they're prepared to throw the same kind of dollars at a rarefied model that doesn't scream. I still think it's going to sell more than an equivalent E46 M3.
What do you think, Deeb? What will this car bring?
All right. So as you mentioned, John, our car closes in 4 days from now and is already at $15,330 on 10 bids. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a couple of numbers.
Got it.
There's two cars that have closed previously. One in May of 2022 had 19,000 miles and it brought $25,750 on Bring a Trailer. And then earlier this year in November, we saw a 6-speed coupe with 89,000 miles bring $25,000. So with those two bids in mind, I do think this car is going to set a new high water mark, but I don't think it's going to go into M3 money. E46 M3s are having a moment, and they're out of there. If this was a super clean one-owner 38,000 mile E46 M3, I think we'd be talking 55, 60 grand. But I think this car, you can have this car for half that. So I'm going to go $29,000 JP, where I will send it back to you. 29 grand, where I believe it will sell. It will set a new high water mark, but it's not going to set the internet on fire.
I don't know, man. 2-door, low miles, ZHP. I think someone wants this thing. I'm going $35,046. Send it off to Wade.
Yeah, I think the question was which side of 30K would it be on, and I feel like it'll be on the higher side of 30K. So I'm going to say $31,111. It'll break 30K. It'll be the high water mark, and it'll probably inspire more people who have similar cars at 200,000 miles to say they know what they got.
Yeah, I want this car I want a 79,000 mile one of these, you know,
yeah.
that you could actually buy for 20. That would be a great all around car. Mental, what's your bid?
I am going to, again, I just don't trust the BMW collector market. So I'm going to say 32.9.
Wow, I'm the high guy here. Yeah, I think with the E46s coming up like that, with the M3s being in the 50s, why wouldn't this thing bring that much? The nerd herd seems to be pretty bearish on this car.
They are all low 20s.
Yeah, Anthony is 27.5. Chris Carbine, who knows his business, says 26.8. Do you guys realize this car has 30,000 miles on it? 30-something thousand miles. Johnny 5 thinks more than 30, but he would buy a Clown Chew instead. That's an interesting take. Yeah, what other numbers we gotten out here? Any other numbers higher?
Yeah, we've got 27.5 out of our Smith's buddy over here, but everyone else back up in the day. Haas is at 21.5, and Jared and Jerry are at 21.6, 23K, so a lot of low 20s.
Is there ever a possibility this car sells under the other two? I can't imagine under 25.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, look, it's got 3 days to go, and it's at almost $16,000. This car is not going to stall out. So I'm going at least double what it's at with 3 days to go. But everyone else is bearish. They think it's going to just. Ted says I'm way too high. What the hell? Come on, man. Come on, Ted. Have some love. What the hell? All right. The nerd herd has spoken. They say I'm going to be cast off the island. We will have to find out in a few days on our next episode. What's the next car that we are going to make a prediction on?
JP, I am going to write it in now because this is a bit of a surprise, but this car was selected by our sponsor at Our Smiths, Mr. Anthony. Is it Vieira? Am I saying his last name correct? Vieira? Anthony Vieira? Anthony sent this car to me, and Anthony, I had already checked it and earmarked it, so we were on the same page. But what we're talking about, mental, is the 1994 Porsche 911 Speedster that is on PCAR Market.
Which I think I also sent this one.
This car is slipped into everyone's DMs, man.
This car is showing 67,838 miles. As Speedsters were very low production, 427 that were sold in the United States alone. Many of these cars were not driven. And so you can find a low mileage Speedster with a manual transmission anywhere. But this happens to be a high mileage Speedster with an automatic transmission. Call it the kiss of death, or listen to our sponsor, JP, and follow our instructions. John, the nerd herd is challenging you to go out and buy this car because it's sitting at $38,500. It's high mileage. It's automatic. This car is basically the kiss of death. Nobody wants it. We want you to buy this car, bring it back to Vegas, and then do a gearbox swap with your current 964, and then the flex of all flexes, take your now black C4 cab with an automatic and go sell it on PCAR Market and give most of your money back. So that is the challenge if you choose to accept it. I know we're not on Top Gear or anything, but that's what the challenge is. This car looks to be, it's all there. It just happens to be an automatic. They updated the seats to be the Euro spec racing buckets, which is pretty cool. It does have air conditioning. And what I forget to tell you, where is it located? It's in Atlanta, Georgia. So JP, I will go with you and we can drive it home together. We just have to hug the Gulf and the Mexican border so we can stay out of the snow. But what do you think, man? Pretty cool car or not?
That would be a cute look with the two of us in this thing.
Yeah.
It is really, this is a sad story. We talked about the California Roadster just a couple of weeks ago that was on, was that America Roadster? Yeah, was that on?
It was a Canadian.
Yeah, but it happened to be a Canadian version of it was some kind of Roadster, but it was basically the 964 wide body convertible. It was in Zermatt silver on like a crazy purple interior or something like that. And that one also had the Tiptronic, and we were all just shocked that thing brought just over $100,000. I think it failed to sell, but the auction did get bid up to like $101,000. And I think this car is going to be similar, right? It's the kind of car that it is. If this had the normal transmission, if it had the 5-speed in it, we'd be looking at easily a $120,000-$130,000 car. But with that slushy, clunky, crappy Tiptronic, I'm just not convinced. I would take everyone's challenge if I were convinced that the swap could be done for under $25,000. I know some of you guys say it absolutely can be done. I just don't believe, if someone wants to give me an actual bid for that and will deliver it for $25,000, a working manual swap, then yeah, I'm in. But I don't believe that. I mean, I don't know where you get a 5-speed G50 transmission for a 964 for $25,000, let alone doing the swap. So the swap thing just doesn't play. Yeah, go ahead, Deeb. You were going to say?
Mental, would there be some complications because JP's is an all-wheel drive 964? Is his gearbox a direct match for this 2-wheel drive car?
That's a good point, because mine has a viscous. So
I don't think that it is a direct matchup for this car. No, I think there would be complications on it. But I have not had anyone on the Nerd Herd say don't do it right now.
And if someone wants to buy it for me, let's do it.
And the best one, Buddha has the best one in there. When you do this swap and you sell yours on there, leave the automatic Speedo in the Speedster.
That would be fun. I just don't. Yeah, it's getting the brain to talk to. It just, the brain is set up for the automatic, so it just won't work. But anyways, I do love this car, and like the other one, I mean, I think it's going to get up there in the $100,000 range, which means even if you could do the swap for, call it $30,000, I don't think it's going to pencil out. What do you think, Wade?
That's exactly the point I was going to make. You know, you could have the triple dog dare you approach, but you got to have the what's in your wallet approach. And what you're going to end up spending on this car is probably more than a 6-speed after you converted and put all the time and money and effort into it. Because of the fact that we saw that last car, granted, it was being sold by a dealer who was just completely outside the realm of reality. But the bids spoke on that car, an automatic that hit 6 figures. And this is a car that I think somebody's going to look at and be like, I can get a Speedster for, 10 grand less than a 6-speed, sign me up. And they're going to spend like way too much money on the car. So if this was like a $60,000 car, I think you would have already put a bid in, but for the $100K, it's probably going to go for, I mean, you're just not going to make it happen.
Yeah. Mental. How about you?
I think your cheaper bet would not be just swapping the transmission, but would literally to be drop the entire all-wheel drive drivetrain out of yours. Just have the shell, roll it over, electronic brains and all, then install it. And then you would have the only all-wheel drive Speedster out there, and then just roll this entire drivetrain into yours. And that would be cheaper and easier, and that's a relative concept because you can't do it cheap. Otherwise, this car would already be at $90,000 for somebody that thought that they could make their 964 into one of these uber rare Speedsters on this one.
Yeah, you got to wonder though with his rare. How many automatics did they make of these? If you had asked me before I saw this ad, I would have told you they didn't. I know they made automatic. They only make one 993 Speedster, and it was an automatic. Yeah.
The brains at PCAR Market say this 1994 is among 427 that were sold in the U.S. and is said to be one of only 8 cars that were equipped with the optional Tiptronic transmission.
That is just, I mean, what?
And sure, so 8 cars, but
insanely stupid people.
Yeah, it's like making out with like the 8th hottest girl, and then as you start feeling things up there, you feel a lump where there should be something smooth. You get where I'm going with this one.
Little crying game action.
She
when
left
you
her keys in her pocket.
Totally.
Yeah. If I saw this car, if like I happened upon this car in a parking lot or at like a car show or something like that, I would swear that this car was a Tiptronic 964 that was converted into a Speedster, rather than the other way around. It was like, okay, somebody chopped the windshield. So yeah, this car, boy, the one that the one that we were talking about, that Roadster, was on Cars and Bids, if I remember correctly. So that's a weird car, and Doug DeMuro likes weird stuff. And we know that this is on PCAR Market, and PCAR Market doesn't give a flying F what the seller wants when it comes to the reserve. They'll just let them have it. This is a car that was, this is a dealer car. So, the dealer thinks it's worth all the money in the world. They're going, oh, we got Speedster, look at it, let's go. So they probably think it's worth $200,000 or something like that. So I don't know, man. This is, if ever there was a car that was destined for the chum bucket, this this has to be, I mean, just screw. Why are they even trying to auction this thing? Just put it in the chum bucket for the ridiculous number that you want, and let's move on. So, Deeb, what do you think this car is going to get bid up to and then wind up in the chum bucket for?
JP, if you're running a car on PCAR Market, isn't it already in the chum bucket? Like, is it?
That should go on our first branded T-shirt.
Yeah. All right. So, John, just an interesting thing. Occasionally, I have the Haggerty price guide open in front of me, and as a pricing adjustment for a 964 Speedster, Haggerty, who I work for, says that there is a deduction of 10% for a Tiptronic transmission, and I will pound the table and say that is horribly inaccurate. I would think it's got to be at least 30 or 40% retraction for an automatic transmission on a car like this. We saw it with that America Roadster just the other day that you were speaking about earlier. I personally think that this should be about $100,000 to $110,000 car with these miles, with the paintwork that it's had. There's some little things changed in the interior, like the seats, and they changed the door handles and the gear shifting. I don't think those things came from Porsche, or they would have verified that. So I do believe this is a $100,000 to $110,000 car. However, I don't think those numbers are going to come into play at all. I think that this car is going to stall out at around $68,000, where it will then wind up in the chum bucket for probably something north of $145,000. I'll be surprised if it's in the chum bucket for less than 125. At that point like that, then you would encourage somebody to buy it. But I think they've got an unrealistic sense of what it's worth, and I don't think anybody's going to bid on this car anywhere near $100,000 with the automatic and the higher mileage. So anyway, there you go. That's what I think is going to happen. $68,000 to you, John, and 145 in the chum bucket. Where you at?
Well, first I want to quote Anthony. He has said in the comments that I will become a legend, a god, even of the air-cooled Porsches, and I'm just that's true. That's true. I may be omitting the rest of his quote, but I'm just saying that Anthony says I'm going to be a legend in the Porsche world. So just there it is. Oh, damn it! You had to put the whole quote on the bottom. Come on. He's saying it's he's double dog daring me to do the swap. So he's messing with me a little bit.
I thought he was just talking about your beard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know I look kind of godly right now, and somebody should make a statue of me. Okay, 75,964. What do you think, Wade?
Oh man, part of me really wants to be like totally unrealistic on this car. Like, I think that there's probably 2 or 3 people out there who don't want to spend $200K on an actual Speedster and would happily spend $120K on this car and just put a Rami Show hat over the shifter and bring it to a car event like all the Corvette owners do and not say anything.
Dude, no one would guess it was an automatic. And the gauge, just to take a Sharpie on the gauge.
You didn't even have to look that close. Nobody would even care.
Put a Rami Show sticker over Speedo.
Wade, let me just give you, the car is sitting at $38,500. It'll close in 2 days, and it's only got 4 bids. So it's really struggling. Before you go do something stupid like $41,000 on a 997 cab with a blue shift knob, I just want you to know the facts.
I know. I'm still going to go a little bit higher. I think this car will probably get bid to like $80,000 is honestly my number, and it's not going to sell at 80. And the fact that it's at a dealership, they're going to put some ridiculous number on it, like 145 in the chum bucket. So, I mean, it's never going to sell, but I think that there's still some people out there who would probably almost pay $100,000 for this car and just say they own a Speedster.
The question is whether or not PCAR Market has that person's eyeballs. Cars and Bids gets, I think, a lot more eyeballs, and certainly BAT. I mean, BAT, there was a black one with the 5-speed that closed for $159 the other day, just a few days ago. So
today.
Oh, was that today? Okay, yeah,
14,000 miles on it. 14,000 miles, which is 50,000 miles less than this car, and had the right gearbox, and it was triple black, JP. It had the Polnik package already.
So the dipshits in Oyster Bay are going to be, when that high bidder, when it fails to sell and they're making the phone calls, they'll be like, oh, there was one for $159 just the other day. You could be getting a bargain. They're going to be trying to sling that BS, and no one's going to buy that. Mental, what do you think?
I I'm with Wade. I think someone who doesn't understand the tragedy of this will go, oh, only one of 8 in a limited production. And they're not going to be a Porsche person. I think they are going to get close to 100,000. And I'm going to say 94 and in the chum bucket, obviously, for, something stupid on that one. And if this car actually sells for anything under 60, it might be worth just going and finding a 964 and doing the swap and then selling your automatic 964 for whatever back on PCAR Marketplace. That is
sure. If this car could be bought for 60, it'd be worth $40,000 to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, what Mental just said, that was Anthony's idea. He came up with it first.
Well, if it sells for under 60. Idea. If it sells for 60, I mean, not if it sells for above 60. That's a thing. As soon as you get over $60,000, the equation doesn't work. The problem is that I'd be keeping it at that point because that's the car I want. So I'd have, I don't think, and then selling my 964 swapped to an automatic. I'd be getting $1.89 in the deal tank.
No, because it'd be an automatic cab, bro. You could totally sell it on Facebook Marketplace and get most of your money out of it. It would be fun.
Like $12,000 for it there.
Hey, real quick though, and I know we're talking about this Speedster. So Vampire Bear just popped in there, said he wishes he would get notifications. Now, Wade Bennet, you run a show where you talk about technology, and there's a technology that could help him.
There is. If you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to the subscribe button on the Bid Nerds YouTube channel, you will get notified 6 ways to Sunday if and when we're ever on time, and if we're not, you'll still get notified. So
you'll get a notification for a video that didn't happen, and then we'll publish something else.
And you'll click on all of the things that are wrong until you finally find us, and your phone will just be dinging. They're live. They're not live. They're live. They're not live. It'll be great. You'll enjoy it.
You'll get maybe we're onto something. The double notifications.
Just have 6 live streams running nonstop.
One of them is gonna work.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But subscribe, notification bell, and you will be notified no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's move on to the next car. What else we got, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP. Our friend Mental selected for us a 1986 Nissan 300ZX Turbo with a 5-speed manual transmission on PCAR Market, showing just 71,000 miles from original. Our car is located in Orange City, Florida, and is offered in the incredible color of maroon with what I can only coin as like a plum interior. That is a lot of burgundy throughout. The carpets don't exactly match the leather, which don't match the paint or any of the plastics. It's a hilarious swirling menage of maroon, as Ben would say. I don't know what you call this generation of car. I was never a fan of these. I know, JP, you do have some love for these things. But like, this is a turbocharged car that barely makes 200 horsepower. Again, I don't have any experience behind the wheel of these. Nobody in my family ever had one. I was only just turning 16 when this car came out. But I have no love for this. These cars, this generation of the Z doesn't speak to me. The one that came after it, John, I absolutely adore. I love that car. They're awesome, but this car doesn't doesn't move the needle for me. I like the exterior colorway. The car looks to be in good condition. I appreciate its status as a young timer, as a Radwood car, as we call it in this country. But even at the number it's sitting at right now, I wouldn't give you that for this car. This car, I'd rather have the money than this car. Does that make any sense to you? So that's my stance on it. It does nothing for me. Mental, thank you for picking it. When you get to talk, you can tell us why this car was worthy of our attention. But it doesn't.
After that JP. Kick down, man, God.
Yeah. Just blah. I don't know. I'm just being honest. Whatever. There you go, JP. What do you like about it? Do you like it? Like, would you pay money for a car like this?
Yeah, I like this car. I think these are one of those kind of like under-realized cars. I think they still haven't popped. driving one of these is like, I mean, it's a true sports car. I mean, from the 80s era, is when sports cars kind of went from, it does suffer a bit because there was a time when sports cars were all about just being sports cars. You didn't have power seats and windows and air conditioning, all that stuff. It was just, you got a sports car or you got a luxury car. And this is kind of in that era in the 80s when sports car manufacturers were like going, okay, well, if we want to command more money for these things, we got to start doing stuff like power windows. We got to start having all that luxurious stuff. And Nissan went crazy. I mean, they had all the like digital dashboards that were all like Atari 2600 style. Everything was like, 8-bit graphics on everything. And they just had buttons and switches and luxurious stuff that we take for granted now. But back then, this car was equipped. I mean, look at that interior. Look at all the whiz-bang stuff, all the gauges, buttons on the steering wheel in 86 or what? Yeah. I mean, nobody had buttons on their steering wheel in 1986. That was like how you shoot down Klingons. This was such a spaceship. The T-tops meant you could have that open air driving experience without having people give you a hard time for having a cabrio. I do really like these cars. They are a ton of fun. They are heavy. They are sluggish. They are underpowered, but it's still a 3-pedal car. With that long nose. It is just such a great 80s experience. And I think that this is one of those cars that people haven't quite discovered how good it is. A lot like a lot of the cars that we talk about, a lot of those cheap cars that were cheap for so long got destroyed. So to find a clean one and to be able to experience what this car was like when it was new is tough to do. So a lot of people they go out and maybe they've had an experience with an old 300ZX, but it was a clapped out one. So their impression of a 300ZX is that it's a terrible car. But when you get one that's clean and nice, and I think Deeb, you would be pleasantly surprised driving this thing, rear wheel drive, all that fun stuff. Do I think you'd turn into a 300Z lover? No. Yeah. But I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. And then maybe you'd even get some taste. I don't know. It could happen.
I want to ask you a quick question because you said these haven't popped yet. So do you think there'll be a moment where this car pops and is suddenly worth like 3x what the top retail number is today?
3x,
before ICE engines are barred from the road? Like I don't think this car is gonna have a moment. I think its opportunity to have a moment is here right now, and this is as nice as example as we've seen that isn't one of the limited edition ones, which we've covered one or two of those. This is just a nice straight up one, and I don't think this car is worth anything.
Yeah, I know. We've heard it. We get it. Michael Deeb doesn't like it. We know. The sweet spot for one of these would be like an 88 or 89. They kind of had a 964 moment where they rounded out the bumpers and the car looked a lot better. And then obviously the 1990 version is a completely different car. That those are great cars. But anyways, Wade, what do you think of this young timer?
Yeah, I think this car is having its moment right now. I don't know that it'll get any more interest than it is right now. It's, as the kids say, it's kind of a vibe car, right? It's quirky, it's weird. It comes from a generation of cars that like power and speed and stuff weren't really there, but you got all these like weird technical things. You got buttons and knobs and screens and digital things that
Johnny is saying that John says that he's right. This is one of those that talk to you.
Yeah.
Your door is a jar.
Yeah.
Your door is a jar.
It was exactly what like the Jetsons, what you thought technology would be in the 80s. And it's like this weird thing. If everything works and everything is cool in the inside of this car, I would imagine that somebody will have a fun time just being in it.
Yes.
And driving it is kind of like the cherry on top. It's never going to be like a collector's car, but this is a really nice example. And it's like the spec that like is weird and interesting, but you can tell whoever bought this car actually like thought it out. They were like, I want everything red. I want everything to match. I want it to be that nice maroon. It's luxurious. It's consistent to say the least. And I think that there are people from my generation who are going to think this is like really, really cool.
Yeah. Because they have more taste than Michael Deeb. All right, and Mental. What do you think, Mental?
Okay, so I brought this up, and I apologize for this. My dad sold Nissans, And I don't even think someone bought this car. I think this was a dealer spec car that they put on the showroom floor. Now, they sold a ton of these cars when they were out, the Z34 Model 300Zs, but most of them didn't have the full body kit. They didn't have the leather. They didn't have the electronic dash, all of these things. So this was the halo car that got people into your showroom. And then someone probably bought it when the next year model came out. And this is a Floridian car that they didn't even tint the windows. The fact that this thing has survived this long, and when so many of these cars were just thrown to the wind, it is not remotely fast. It is capable. It is a grand touring car, and it does represent this fascinating, unique, and bygone era. And I really want to, like, the dash picture where we're showing the green digital dash and then the orange stereo. A designer signed off on that and said, this is a good idea because it just shows everything off. And it is. And I understand this is never going to be a collector car in the sense of it, commanding six figures, but for $7,000, this is an absolute time capsule of something wholly and unique before the Japanese sports cars just took aim at the best of Europe and laid waste to them. They were just trying to be these great luxury barge cruisers, and you're just never going to see it again.
That is the biggest negative of this car is the fact that it's from Florida. And as well as this car is preserved, you can see evidence of the heat that it's had to endure. Yeah. There are bubbles in
yeah. Oh, and that's why none of that interior matches, because it's all faded at different rates.
Yeah, and it looks like they did a really good job trying to keep it out of the weather, but it's just you can only do so much. All right, what do we think this thing's going to bring? Is it going to stall out, or is it going to bring some money?
I don't know that there's any.
Tell us again that you don't like it. One more time. Here's your shot.
I don't think this car is on the right path for it. I think this car would do way better on cars and bids. So that's
Randy agrees with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my first thing. It's also worth noting that our car closes in 2 days from now, and it's at $6,750 on just 3 bids. Now, again, PCAR Market gets a lot of their action at the end. I'm not saying this car is dead on arrival, but I think it's going to wind up in the chum bucket or the deal tank for around $30,000. And I think it's going to stall out at probably around $12,000. So I'll give you $12,000. Now, it's not what I think the car is worth. I think the car is worth 20 grand. But I think they're going to ask more than it's worth. And I think it's going to achieve less than what it's worth on this platform. So I'll give you $12,000 where it will fail to sell and wind up in the deal tank for like 29 or 30. But mental, it's a nice example. I think it's worth 20 grand.
Over and over, we see it on PCAR Market. Dealers, they look at BAT and they're like, oh, I don't want to wait a month or 2 months. I don't want to sit on a car that long. They have the idea that it's just going to take too long to get the car to market. So they think, oh, I can get it on PCAR Market right now, like tomorrow. Okay, let's do that. And so they rush to market thinking that that's the better opportunity. But you guys are right. The eyeballs are not going to be there for this car. This is not a Porsche. This is a weird car. This car would do better on cars and bids because I think that would really be where this car should be, probably even better than BAT. So yeah, that's your take. You're right. So I'm gonna go with 15,300 and send it to Wade.
Yeah, I could have seen Doug actually reviewing this car and making a video on it, because I'm sure it has a lot of quirky, weird things that he would talk about, and that would definitely be in the right platform and probably inflated the numbers ever so slightly. It's tough. I don't know that this is like a 30 grand car. I feel like it'll get enough bids where, like, if the seller is relatively realistic, you should probably sell it. If it hits $17,500, which is my guess, I think he should probably just sell it and move on. Yeah. And I mean, maybe 6 months from now, if it's on Bring a Trailer, it might do slightly better, but I don't know if it's going to bring 20 or 25 or 30 grand. I think that's a fair price for the car, honestly.
Where are you at, Mental?
So I'm going to take a slightly different hot take and say that no, while this car would do much better on cars and bids, you know where it should have gone, Michael Deeb? Haggerty. It should have been curated by someone who cares, about the seller's experience and would care about the car. I do think it's probably a $20,000 car, but yeah, no way. And I'm with the nerd herd who is all in the 15 to 20,000 range. I am also going to say 16.5 fails to sell in the chum bucket. But if it stays under 10, I might have to be taking a trip to Florida soon because this thing is just too cool.
Road trip. Let's do it. All right.
What? I'll
Nerds
chase.
on the road.
I'll follow you back in your Tiptronic Speedster.
Where was the Speedster? It wasn't
Atlanta.
in Florida. Oh, it was in Atlanta. Okay, let's do it. All right. We can go to Atlanta,
Fly
get
to
the Speedster,
Jacksonville.
drive down to Florida.
We'll have dinner with my parents.
There
It'll
we
be great.
go.
They live in
All right.
Atlanta. Yeah,
Let's
this will be
do it.
great.
This is gonna be fun. All right, I'm excited. We got next week all planned out. This is gonna be a good time. All right, what's the last car on the list for us to make a prediction on, Michael Deeb?
All right, Switzer Jesus, we are kicking the Toyota, and we are going to do the 2019 Porsche 935 selected by JP.
Wait, I thought you didn't want to do this one.
We're doing it anyways.
He did say he changed his mind.
Oh, okay. All right.
So this 935 was picked by JP. It's a premium listing on Bring a Trailers. I mean, it's probably been up for 2 weeks, but our car closes tomorrow. Located in Concord, Ontario, Canada, showing 945 kilometers, which is about 587 miles, is this unbelievably limited edition Uber track beast that Porsche made on the 991 platform. So it's a 991.2 platform, but they made it as a homage to the 935 Turbo. So what you're looking at essentially is a GT2 sort of club sport track special. It's not a homologated race car. This is a car that they expected, I mean, I'm sure you could race it, but I think they expected some of their best billionaire clients to buy this car and keep it at the emerging, proliferating country club track scene like Spring Mountain and what's the one mental down here in Palm Springs, what's it called?
Thermal.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fahrenheit. Yeah, but anyway, so it's a car that you would keep and take out and do some hot laps and scare the hell out of your girlfriend. Porsche made 77 examples of this car in 2019. This one is the 13th. Track only, non-homologated, homage to the 935. Unbelievable car. Just I mean, look at it. It's sick. The thing that kind of, I don't want to say rubs me the wrong way, I wish this car had a livery. I mean, as it's a homage to the 935, pick any of Porsche's classic liveries over the years and slap it over the carbon fiber bodywork. Obviously, that can still be done with a wrap, which is what they would have been done originally. But while it's cool to see all the carbon on this car, I think this car would ultimately garner a little more eyeball if it had a livery, if it you got to sell the fantasy going down the road, and this car being in all body and carbon just lacks a little something from me. That being said, as good a driver as I might think I am, this is an unbelievable performance car, and it would probably take quite a few days and quite a few lessons to warm up to flirting with the limit that this car has, that is ultimately higher than my clenched butt cheeks would allow me to go to. But beautiful car. I think they did a fantastic job at it. JP, you and I were at Rennsport when this car debuted. I remember it fondly. It was pretty bodacious. But here is one of the rare 77 for the world cars in Canada. It's on BAT. BAT has sold one previously. That car had less than 100 miles on it, and it sold for $1,626,000. So, John, I send this car back over to you. Aside from being one of the coolest looking 911s there is, what else do you like about this thing?
This is a car that's just never going to be driven. It's going to be, I mean, it's such a sad thing to see these. It is something to behold. Seeing one in real life is just awe-inspiring. And I mean, it just makes you kind of tear up a little bit when you do see one, because it's never going to move on its own power. It's going to be driven from one museum to another, and maybe it'll do a lap or two at Rennsport, the next Rennsport or something like that, but it'll be at like 35 miles an hour or something. I mean, Porsche makes a masterpiece, and then no one drives it. It's just sadness to me. And honestly, if I had the money, if I was a gajillionaire, even I'd be kind of scared to drive it because I mean, it's all carbon fiber. If you bump into anything, whatever part it is that you bump into is now ruined and you'll never be able to make another one again and you'll destroy the whole car. It's just carbon fiber. You can't fix carbon fiber once it crashes. Man, Wade, you should buy this car.
JP scared he's going to tub the 935. Come on, man. Just get out there.
Just drive this thing. I'm going to swap it to a manual. I'm going to get it. And I'm going to take the manual out of my 964 and I'm going to put it in this and then I'll drive it. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. I think your fears are justified, but look, if you have, $2 million to spend on a car, you're not going to care if the carbon fiber cracks.
Then how come I've never seen one with more than like 800 miles on it.
Hey, I'm not saying they will do it. I'm just saying it shouldn't be a concern because this isn't the one and only Porsche you have. You have 87 other Porsches and this is the one you don't have and now you do. And hopefully it does get driven. But I agree. This is the kind of car that like gets paraded on a track for one lap at like a Porsche event and then parked out front in front of all the other ones, which is kind of a shame. And I agree with you, Michael Deeb. This should have had some sort of wrap or livery or something.
Most of them did, don't they?
Yeah, to sell the dream, sell the idea, make it something interesting. Like from my perspective, even like as a collector or as somebody who would be interested in this car, it just kind of looks like some weird carbon fiber race car that's in some guy's shop, not like this beautiful, super rare Porsche with all this history and all this provenance. So kind of a weird way to represent it, but it's not going to matter. There's, a few dozen of these cars in the world and they're going to pay as much money as possible to be the one guy in the Porsche club that has this or the one billionaire on the block that has this.
Mansell, you getting one?
I'm with you. This is terrible. This is it's sad. It just no one buys this car for what it is, which is an engineering marvel. And the presentation, this is just a fantastic ad. The photos, everything on there. But even if you're not worried about the carbon fiber, if you're just buying this to show that yours is bigger than everybody else's. You're buying this so that you go straight to the VIP table at every Porsche show you show up at. Oh, I'll bring my 935. Of course, we'll give you the super gold-plated status where you sit on the third floor instead of the second floor, and you'll drink real champagne instead of sparkling apple wine, and blah, 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 blah. And no one will. We have not ever covered a car on this show that I would have less than this one. Every car that I've ever sat behind this desk on, I would rather have than this one, not because of what this car can do, but because of what it represents. I'd rather have that automatic Speedster. I'd rather have that automatic Canadian sport purple interior car because this is the definition of a device that will never get to live up to its hope. I would go buy an old 60s 962 over this. There's just no interest in anything about this car. If they gave it to me, I would beat on it like it owed me money until it died, because then it gets to live out its destiny as this wonderful engineering spectacle.
God damn, I might have to actually respect mental for a change. It's a good take, man, because it's true. I mean, what the hell, Porsche? I mean, they call it the Moby Dick, and I guess there's a good reason for it, because it's just for dicks. There is no person that buys this car who isn't a goddamn dick
or a Bond villain,
right? I mean, but
if you have the money for this car, you have exploited hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, but the Bond villains don't exist, right? This is who buys this thing, but an asshole. Show me someone that buys this and drives the hell out of it, and I will retract that. But
right. Rami's online too.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, Rami would. Rami would absolutely run this thing down through the canyon.
Absolutely. Rami would drive it on the street.
He would not care, right? And
no.
So Rami needs to sell his company so he can buy this one and change the formula. But that's it. This car is only for a flex. And that's just lame, because I mean, Paganis and all, Veyrons and some of those that are worth even more money than these, at least the rappers and stuff like that are actually driving those cars around on the street. The guys that get these are just like, So how much will some dick pay for this thing, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, I'm glad you asked. So first things first, our car costs about $1.1 million. And that includes $82,000 for shipping, which I assume they put it on a Concorde jet. And then it included a spare parts package, which was $43,000. So $1.1 million to buy the car. The last one sold for $1,626,000. And that car had 90-something miles on it, less than 100 miles. This car has 600 miles, which means it's actually turned a few laps in anger, and they've actually put a tank of gas in it. But it's worth noting that our car closes tomorrow and is already sitting at $1,600,000 on 5 bids. So my bid on this car is that it will not get another bid, and that the person who bid it up from like $500,000 to $1.6 million is essentially saying, I'll buy the car. And at 1.6, that's all the money according to the comps. The one that had less than 100 miles had an iconic livery on it, and this car does not. I think that car was better looking and had lower mileage. So here you go. I think at 1.6, that's it. I don't think it gets another bid, and I think it sells for that number. So $1.6 million to you, JP.
I'm going to go $1.6,935. I'm going to just dip it right over. I actually agree with you. Damn it. I was going to say the same thing. I thought I was going to dip out. But yeah, I think it's done. I think you start getting that kind of money, there's cars that you can actually drive. And yeah, the fact that these aren't street legal really narrows it down. And so it would have to be, like I said, either a Dick or Rami, because Rami's the only guy that would actually drive it on the street. Yeah, what do you think, Wade?
The other thing too is that somebody has to we're presuming that it's going to sell in the United States, somebody's going to have to import it into the U.S. So there's money left to be spent on it to get it back across.
I'll bring it. I'll drive it. It's no problem.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if you didn't...
What are you talking about, Mental? You drive MR2s. Sorry,
right.
Wade. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I have to say, if you didn't tell me what it was at, I would have guessed 1.4, 1.45, because it's a Canadian car, because it has 900 and something miles, which is like 10 times more miles than any of the other cars have had. So I'm kind of surprised that it got that much, but I wonder if these just aren't coming to market anymore. I wonder if this is just the one this year, and next year there may not be any for sale. I really didn't think it would even go that high, but maybe there's 2 people now who actually really want it. So I'll give it another $50,000. I'll say $1,650,000, just to give one more bid in there, because at that point, like if you bid 1.6, what's another 50 or 100? Just throw it in there. See if you get it.
Just throw it in there. See if you get it. Where are you at, Mental?
So I'm being called out here. They're asking, would you rather drive that MR2? Yes. Would you rather drive the Cabro with the blue shift knob? Yes. I would rather drive that red MR2 that sends me into a rage every time than having this thing. But 1.5999, and it's not going to sell. This is and if it does sell, it's selling.
You can't go lower than where it's at.
Oh, I apologize. All right, 1.6999. And it's not going to sell because the guy's just flexing on everybody to let him know. And if he does sell, he's selling it to another Canadian or American millionaire, and and it's just to show that they're on there. I think most everyone agrees this is a giant douche mobile. It is, and it's not the car's fault. This is a fascinating car and is well presented. And we also got some data from one of our Canadian friends who says that it's a Canadian Tire Motorsports, and this PFAF guys, they are known for doing all the prep for the dealer race teams. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with the car. It's just not even what this car represents. It's just the person that buys the car.
Yeah, I mean, a CGT is around a couple $1 million, right? I mean, and you can drive those, and they made a few of them. They didn't make 77. They made hundreds of them, or maybe how many CGTs were there?
Yeah, 1,300.
1,300.
The CGT, 1 is a convertible, 2 has a passenger seat, and 3 has a glorious normally aspirated V10 that revs to like 8,000 RPM. I would take a CGT over this car all day long.
Yeah. So why didn't they just make like 500 of these or something, or 935 of these? They probably could have sold them all, even if because what was the list price again of this car, Deeb, when it was new?
1.1.
1.1. So if they made 930 5 of these, they probably could have sold every single one of them for $900,000, especially at that time, because that was in, man, things were crazy going into that era. So I think they would have sold all of them. They would have made way more money if they had made it just a little bit more street ready. And yeah, go ahead.
We do have an option.
But since we're nerds, go ahead, Mental.
No. Go finish your point. I'm sorry.
As we are nerds, I think that they couldn't have made them street legal, because I think what makes it look like a Moby Dick is a long front overhang and a long rear overhang. I don't think this car will go in and out of the mall, out of the driveway, in and out of the mall. So
that's not a qualification for street legal. There is a theory out there now. Anthony, his official bid was all of the money. And what was interesting about that is then the Nerd Herd agreed they would all spend all of Anthony's money on this car. And Anthony...
he spent it all on sponsoring the show. He doesn't have any money, guys.
He
what are you
did,
talking about?
but Anthony has promised that he will in fact...
He bought a new beard with Mental's hair.
He will in fact write the check, and he will drive it home from Canada if you buy the Speedster.
Wait, what? What's going on?
Right there. Anthony said he'll write the check, drive it home if you buy the Speedster.
I'm confused. He'll write the check for what?
For this car, for the 935, because everyone agrees that they would all spend all of Anthony's money to own this car.
All right. Okay. Sure. I'm not sure how I benefit from any of this at all.
You get a new Speedster. I think in order to cement this, to sort of shake hands on
Take
this
a
deal,
Sawzall to my windshield before I do that.
Since we are live on the air, is JP should bid on the Speedster right now in front of all of us. We're all watching. Pull up the Speedster, Mental, and then JP, go ahead and put a bid in.
Yeah, I already closed it. I'm sorry.
But then PCAR Market will put a hold on my credit card for like 8 weeks.
Exactly.
they'll buy and flip a bunch of Bitcoin until they can have to pay
PCAR
me
Market
back.
will hold JP's bid until Anthony Speedster clears customs. Anthony clears customs in Ontario to the United States.
It's true. Those guys are such jackasses. Oh man. All right, guys. Well, there it is. That's a show. That's the first show of 2024. The Nerd Herd is what makes the show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. That's a lot of fun. We're going to do it again Sunday night at 6:30. We're getting better at this, kind of putting notifications out there. We were on time. We just had some bumps in the road once we got it going. And actually we were fine. It's just the whole wrong stream thing got screwed. Anyways, who cares? Thanks for hanging out. And Deeb's battery died, but that's always happening. Yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. So, where do we find you when you're not a bid nerd there?
You will find me over at Tech Daily on YouTube, and starting Saturday, Sunday, throughout the whole week, you'll find me at CES here in Las Vegas. So if you want to see some tech things that are being released, tech and cars and gadgets and weird stuff, I'll be at CES every day posting to Instagram and Twitter and talking about CES related things. So that's what I'll be.
Sweet. Mental, what are you working on?
So you can catch me at Everyone Racers. Our new show will be on air to where you get your podcast tomorrow. And if you are coming to CES, we're actually working on a Gearhead get together. Especially if you're a racer or an endurance racer or a crab can racer, we've got something in the works. We have no idea what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. Heck, we might invite you guys all here and we'll do it.
When is CES?
Starts next week.
Starts
next week.
So it officially starts Sunday night-ish. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is kind of like the show, and it goes like halfway through Friday. So it's really the whole week. I mean,
Is there anybody we should get in here for Sunday night's episode?
I have no friends, so that's on you guys.
Well, I mean, you'll be walking around CES going, "Hey, you have a car? What do you?"
I was gonna say I can bring all the people who have like EV startups if you want to bring them on the show to talk about.
We'll do an all EV episode. Anthony will be like, "I'm out.
Crickets.
Pull my sponsorship."
Crickets.
Yeah, that would be a fun show. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for hanging out, and we'll see you Sunday night.
Wait. Where can they find Michael Deeb?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he's here. I forgot about
Thank you, Mental. If you need help selling your car at an online auction, you can reach me at mdeeb. That's M as in Michael, Deeb at Haggerty.com, and I can help you get your car on the Haggerty Marketplace online auction, or if you have a very special car, we can get into a live auction. We are still currently taking consignments for Amelia Island in March, but that deadline is approaching very quickly. If you have something in mind, reach out right away. And thank you.
Guys, custom bracelets available on the Etsy page. That's what is it? gyxcustoms.etsy.com. So you can get yourself a Guy's Custom Bracelets or a Rami Show hat. And soon we will have the Bid Nerds hats. I'm thinking we might even have Bid Nerds hats available on the Guy's Customs Etsy page. Like as soon as Sunday, we're working on this.
John, are we going to Toy and Literature, or should we start teasing?
Yeah, that's a good call. Toy and Lit Show. Yeah, Toy and Lit Show. What weekend is that?
February 24th. It's early. It's not in March like it used to be. It's in February.
Yeah, so we'll be making our way to LA, and I think we're going to get a booth at the Toy and Lit Show this year. So we'll look for us at the show.
Wade, you have to come with us, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a fun weekend. Maybe even Mental will come with us. Mental, you coming?
Sure, absolutely. I've got a whole stack of toy Porsches. I'll sell there. Do you have Hot Wheel Porsches?
There you go. All right, find us at the Toy and Lit. Actually, it's the Lit and Toy Show. We always call it the Toy and Lit Show because then you can say it quickly.
Toilet.
It's a toilet show, but it's the Lit and Toy Show. That'll be at the LAX. Is it the
Hilton?
Excuse me, Hilton. Yeah. We'll be staying on a boat.
Saturday the 24th, and JP's got VIP. He's gonna be in the harbor.
We'll probably do a drive on Friday. Invite only little professor run, under the radar professor run on Friday, and then on Sunday, I don't know. The Sunday there's the Republic. Where they do the 356 swap meet is on Sunday. I don't know where they do it now though. It used to be at the Phoenix Club, but it's somewhere else now.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. But Friday, we'll have to talk to Ben and see if he's going to do an invite-only drive or if he's just going to want to cruise up to Newcomb's.
Yeah. All right. Well, there it is, guys. We'll see you Sunday.
Yay!
Nerds! Get those nerds!